Yesterday, we shared the first phase of our plan to safely ease our border measures for Canadians who are fully vaccinated. To be considered fully vaccinated for travel, you must have received a full series of a vaccine or a combination of 2 vaccines at least 14 days before entering the country, and the vaccines you got must be approved in Canada. As of July 5th, Canadian travelers who have submitted proof of full vaccination will no longer have to quarantine at a hotel or at home. This is the first step of what will be a gradual, careful plan to safely reopen to travel. The pandemic is not over. There's still variants circulating around the world, so there's a number of important measures that need to stay in place for now. One of the reasons we can start easing our border measures is because more and more Canadians are vaccinated every day. Over 75% of eligible Canadians have now received at least 1 shot, and over 21% are fully vaccinated. We will have received a total of more than 50 million doses by the end of June, and a total of over 68 million doses by the end of July.
Fillon from TVA. Good day. Thank you, Prime Minister. I'd like to get back to the border issues. When can we expect the border to be open again to tourists and visitors?
I understand the impatience people have to get traveling again, but keeping Canadians safe has been and will continue to be our #1 priority throughout. With the measures announced tomorrow, fully vaccinated Canadians can now return to their country without having to go through quarantine, although they'll still get tested before coming home and on arrival. But we are looking at continuing our plan for gradual and safe reopening, hopefully with more announcements in the coming weeks about next and further steps. But every step of the way, we need to be careful because there's a situation of the level of vaccination in the country. We have to look at case levels in the country and outbreaks. We have to look at what variants of concern are present in Canada and indeed the situation around the world. Because every step of the way, we're going to be cautious and responsible in the way we move forward. We're all eager to get back to normal, but we're going to make sure we're doing it in a way that is safe for Canadians. There is an issue that some jurisdictions around the world, including Quebec, are talking about, that someone who has had COVID and only gets 1 dose of a vaccine could have a sufficient level of protection. As always, as a country, we make our decisions based on the best science, the best evidence, the best data available. And I know that our experts are leaning in on exactly that question to try and make a determination if indeed that's something we can be confident in as we move forward. So we will continue to work with jurisdictions that are doing that. We will continue to look at ways of getting life back to normal in a way that is safe and effective for everyone. But we were not ready to make that call yesterday for the announcement. So it's something we're going to look at carefully, and hopefully we'll have a better answer for people in the coming weeks as we look to making more announcements.
Fully vaccinated Americans, tourists, ought to be able to come to Canada safely, just as a fully vaccinated Canadian can come back into the country safely. You have said several times in your ministers, oh, we've got science to say that we should take a different approach. So please point to the science that says a fully vaccinated American is a greater public health risk than a fully vaccinated Canadian. Thanks. Good luck with the test.
Thank you, David. I actually took the test, the day 8 test this morning, and I'm continuing to quarantine, of course, until next week when my 14 days will be up. It's a really good question because people are wondering, because if being fully vaccinated protects you very effectively from the negative impacts of COVID-19, from most risks of hospitalization, then we should be very comfortable about that, and we are. But the issue is that being fully vaccinated against COVID-19 protects you from the worst impacts. It does not necessarily protect you from transmitting COVID-19, even though you're fully vaccinated, to someone who is partially or not vaccinated. So yes, full vaccination, great for protection. But if you're returning to a community that is only partially or low levels of vaccinations, that is a risk to public health. That's why our decision to reopen step by step and gradually is the right and responsible one. As of July 5th, those who have a right to enter into Canada now, returning permanent residents or citizens or people with exceptions, will be able to skip the quarantine if they're fully vaccinated. And that actually will allow for us to reopen partially for the people who need it, who are Canadians, but will not yet get to the volumes that would be involved in reopening too quickly to foreign travelers, even if they're fully vaccinated. We hope to get there soon, and we will be able to get there even sooner if Canadians continue to be so enthusiastic about getting those 2 doses that they need. We're already up above 20% in terms of full vaccinations. In the coming weeks, we expect that to continue to rise rapidly, and that will allow us to get to a place where we can accept larger volumes of people coming into this country. But grounding everything we do in a need to keep Canadians safe and to not get into a situation where, because we were a week or two too rushed, we'd have to close down again. Nobody wants to see new restrictions brought in the summer because the volumes were too high, because we were a little too rushed. So every step of the way, we're going to be careful and gradual about things, because we know we want to get there as quickly as possible, but we know it's more important to get there as quickly as is safe and responsible, and that is what all the best advice of our scientists and experts, and indeed looking at the capacity of our economy and our airports and our borders to ramp up the volumes that will be coming through. That's the right path for Canada to continue to be cautious.